I'm leaving tonight. If you still want me, come with me. That was the message Mike sent. And for the first time in years, Sunshine's hands trembled. But before we begin, tell us in the comment section where you are watching from, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's begin this story. You will definitely love this one. Sunshine does not smile. People feared that name before they even saw her face. In the city, when deals went wrong, when powerful men whispered in dark rooms, when someone needed something done without asking questions, they called her. She was young, rich, and dangerously calm. They called her the queen without a heart. But Sunshine was not always like this. When she was a teenager, she laughed easily. She had one friend. One boy who never feared her. Mike. He was quiet, kind, and came from a rich family. But he never acted proud. He would sit beside her in class and share his lunch even when she didn't ask. I like you, he told her once, scratching the back of his neck. Sunshine rolled her eyes. Focus on your books. But Mike just smiled. I can do both. He kept saying it over the years. I like you. I'll wait. I'm serious, Sunshine. She never took him seriously. Because even then, her heart was already changing. Her father was not a good man, or so she thought. He took everything from her mother. Her mother was once rich, from a strong family. She loved Sunshine's father so much that she ignored every warning. That love destroyed her. He forced her to stay at home. He took her money. He spoke to her like she was nothing. And one day, he left. He left with another woman. And took everything with him. Sunshine remembered the silence in the house that day. Her mother sitting on the floor, staring at nothing. That was the day Sunshine decided something. I will never be weak. I will never let anyone take what is mine. I will be stronger than everyone. Mike heard her say it when they were teenagers. He laughed softly. You don't have to be that hard. She looked at him coldly. You don't understand. I can try, he said gently. But she had already closed her heart. By 20, Sunshine had built something dangerous. An empire. Not the clean kind. The kind where rich people came when they needed dirty problems solved. The kind where money came fast, but peace never came at all. And Sunshine ruled it all. Cold. Sharp. Untouchable. Except for one person. Mike. He would walk into her office without fear. Stop this, he would say. She didn't even look up. Leave if you don't like it. You're changing, he said. I already changed. This isn't you. She finally looked at him, her eyes like ice. Then you don't know me. But Mike didn't step back. I know the girl who shared her umbrella with me in the rain. Silence. Just for a second. Then she turned away. That girl is gone. But as years passed, Sunshine became even colder. If someone crossed her, they paid for it. No second chances. No mercy. People stopped seeing her as human. She became a name. A warning. A shadow. And slowly, Mike started to fade away. Not because he stopped caring, but because it hurt too much to watch her become someone he didn't recognize. One night, he stood in her office again. But this time, something was different. I'm leaving, he said. She didn't react. Then go. I'm serious this time. Still no reaction. I can't stay here and watch you destroy yourself. Her voice was calm. I didn't ask you to stay. Mike swallowed hard. Come with me. That made her pause. Just slightly. We can start fresh, he continued. Another city. A clean life. You can build something real. She laughed softly. Clean, she said. That's not my world. It can be. No. Sunshine. I said no. Her voice was final. But inside, something moved. Something she had buried for years. Days passed. But his words stayed in her head. Come with me. Start fresh. You don't have to be this way. She tried to ignore it. She threw herself deeper into work. More deals. More power. More control. But at night, she couldn't sleep. Because for the first time, she was afraid. Not of enemies. Not of betrayal. But of losing him. Then came the message. Simple. Short. Heavy. I'm leaving tonight. If you still want me, come with me. Sunshine stared at her phone. Minutes passed. She didn't reply. Her men waited outside for orders. Her empire stood strong. Everything she built was in her hands. But so was something else. A choice. For the first time in her life, Sunshine didn't know what to do. At the airport, Mike stood alone. His bag beside him. His phone in his hand. No new message. He laughed quietly, but there was pain in it. I guess that's my answer. He turned toward the gate. 1 step. 2 steps. Then, a loud sound filled the air. Heads turned. People whispered. Outside, a private jet had just landed. Mike froze. His heart started beating fast. No way. The airport doors opened. And she walked in. Sunshine. Calm. Beautiful. Untouchable as always. But her eyes were different. She stopped in front of him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she said softly, "You talk too much." Mike almost laughed. Almost. Is that a yes or a no? She looked at him. Really looked at him. And for the first time in years, her voice was not cold. If you're still asking. A small pause. Then, I came, didn't I? Mike didn't say anything for a few seconds. He just looked at her, like he was trying to be sure she was real. You actually came, he said softly. Sunshine crossed her arms. Don't make it a big deal. But her voice was not as strong as before. For the first time, she felt unsure. Mike smiled a little. Not his usual bright smile, but something deeper. Come, he said gently. Let's go before you change your mind. She rolled her eyes. I don't change my mind. But she followed him. The plane was quiet. Too quiet. Sunshine sat by the window, looking outside. The city lights slowly became smaller. Her city. Her empire. Everything she built. Fading into the distance. Mike sat across from her, watching her carefully. You okay? He asked. I'm fine. You don't look fine. She turned sharply. Do you want me to go back? No, he said quickly. I just want to understand how you feel. She looked away again. Feel. That word again. I don't deal with feelings, she said. Mike leaned back, sighing softly. Yeah, I know. Hours passed. No one spoke much. But something had already changed. For the first time in years, Sunshine was not giving orders. She was just sitting, thinking. When they arrived in the new city, everything felt different. No one recognized her. No whispers. No fear. No power. It was quiet. Sunshine stepped out of the car and looked around. This place is too peaceful, she said. Mike chuckled. That's kind of the point. I don't like it. You will. She didn't answer. The house was simple. Not too big. Not too small. Clean. Calm. Warm. Sunshine walked inside slowly, looking at everything. This is where you live when you come here? For now, Mike said. She raised a brow. You downgraded. I upgraded, he corrected gently. Peace is expensive too. She didn't understand that. Not yet. That night was strange. Sunshine couldn't sleep. The silence was too loud. No calls. No messages. No urgent problems. Just nothing. She stood near the window and looked around the room. Her chest felt tight. Not from fear, but from something she didn't understand. In the kitchen, Mike was awake too. He was making tea. He looked up as she walked in. Can't sleep, he asked. No. He handed her a cup. She stared at it. I don't drink this. Just try. She hesitated. Then slowly, she took a sip. Warm. Soft. Calm. She didn't say anything, but she didn't put it down either. Mike smiled a little. Days started to pass. Slowly. Peacefully. And Sunshine didn't know how to deal with it. She followed Mike to places. A small cafe. A quiet park. Simple stores. Normal life. At first, she looked out of place. Too sharp. Too serious. People stared, not out of fear, but curiosity. But something strange started happening. She began to relax. Just a little. One afternoon, they sat in the park. Kids were playing nearby. Sunshine watched them. They're loud, she said. They're happy, Mike replied. She didn't respond. But she kept watching. A small girl ran past them and tripped. Sunshine's body moved before her mind could think. She stood up quickly. The girl started crying. Sunshine froze for a second. She didn't know what to do. Mike walked over calmly and helped the girl up. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're strong." The girl sniffed and nodded. Then she ran off again. Sunshine slowly sat back down. "You reacted fast," Mike said. "I just moved." He looked at her carefully. "You still care?" Her face turned cold again. "Don't start." But deep inside, she felt something crack. But peace never lasts forever. Far away, in the city she left behind, men sat in a dark room, angry, confused. She just disappeared? That's impossible. Find her. One of them leaned forward. "If she thinks she can leave, she's wrong." Another voice spoke, low and dangerous. "And the boy with her?" Silence. "Then, get rid of him." Back in the new city, Sunshine suddenly stopped walking. Mike turned. "What's wrong?" Her eyes had changed. Sharp. Alert. Dangerous. "We're being watched." Mike's heart skipped. "What?" "Don't turn around," she said quietly. Her calm was back. But this time, it wasn't peaceful. It was deadly. A black car passed slowly. Too slowly. Sunshine's gaze followed it without moving her head. "They found me," she whispered. Mike felt a chill. "But how?" "They always do." Her jaw tightened. For a moment, the old Sunshine was back. The queen. The ruler. The storm. That night, everything changed again. Sunshine stood by the window, her eyes dark. Mike walked in. "You were right," she said quietly. He frowned. "About what?" "They don't let people like me go." Silence filled the room. Then Mike stepped closer. "We'll handle it," he said. She laughed softly. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand." She turned to face him. "They won't come for me first." Mike's chest tightened. "They'll come for you." Outside, a shadow moved. Watching. Waiting. Inside, Sunshine made a decision. And this time, it wasn't about power. It was about him. Sunshine did not sleep that night. She stood by the window, watching the dark street below. Every movement, every shadow, every sound. Nothing escaped her eyes. Behind her, Mike was asleep, or at least trying to be. But Sunshine knew one thing clearly now. They will come for him. And that, she would never allow. Morning came quietly. Too quietly. Mike walked into the living room and found her already dressed. Sharp. Focused. Different. "You didn't sleep," he said. "I don't need it." He frowned. "That's not healthy." She ignored that. "I have something to do." "What kind of something?" She picked up her phone. The kind that ends things. Back in her old city, phones started ringing. Men who feared no one suddenly sat up straight because her name appeared on their screens. Sunshine. She hadn't called in days. No one knew where she was. But now, she was calling them. A video meeting opened. Faces appeared one by one. Powerful men. Dangerous men. Men who had built their wealth through her empire. No one spoke at first. They just looked at her. Waiting. Sunshine sat calmly. Her face was cold again. But this time, it wasn't empty. It was final. "I'm shutting it down," she said. Silence. Heavy. Shocking. One man laughed nervously. "What kind of joke is that?" "I don't joke." Another leaned forward. "You can't just walk away. Do you know how many people depend on this?" "I know exactly," she replied. "Then you know it's impossible." She tilted her head slightly. "Nothing is impossible. I built it. I can end it." The room grew tense. "You think we'll just accept that?" Someone snapped. Sunshine's eyes darkened. "You don't have a choice." Her voice was calm. Too calm. "And if we refuse," another man challenged. For a second, no one breathed. Then Sunshine spoke again. Soft. Dangerous. "Then you remind me why people fear me." Silence dropped like a heavy weight. Because they all knew. She wasn't bluffing. One by one, they gave in. Not because they agreed, but because they understood. Sunshine was not asking. She was ending it. The call ended. Just like that. Her empire was gone. Years of power. Control. Fear. Finished. Mike stood in the doorway. He had heard everything. You really did it, he said quietly. Sunshine didn't look at him. It was just business. No, he said, stepping closer. It wasn't. She finally turned. For the first time, you chose something else over power. Her eyes softened, just a little. Don't read too much into it. But he smiled. Because he knew. Days later. Sunshine stood in front of a new building. Simple. Modern. Clean. A fresh start. Mike looked at the sign. No name, he asked. Not yet. What kind of business is this? She paused. Then said something she never thought she would say. Something clean. This new empire was different. No secrets. No fear. No darkness. Just business. Real business. Money earned without blood. At first, it felt strange. Sunshine didn't trust it. Didn't trust people. Didn't trust peace. But Mike stayed by her side. Guiding her. Helping her understand. You don't have to control everything, he told her one day. That's how people lose everything, she replied. He shook his head. Or, it's how they finally live. Slowly. Very slowly. Sunshine began to change. She spoke less harshly. She listened more. She even smiled. Not often, but enough for Mike to notice. And every time she did, it felt like something rare. Something special. But danger had not disappeared. It had only been quiet. Waiting. One evening as Sunshine and Mike left the office, a car stopped across the street. The windows were dark. Too dark. Sunshine's steps slowed. Her eyes sharpened instantly. Mike, she said quietly. Stay close. He felt it again. That shift in her voice. The calm before something dangerous. The car door opened. A man stepped out. Slow. Confident. Familiar. Sunshine's eyes narrowed. I know him. Mike looked at her. Who is he? Her jaw tightened. Someone who should not be here. The man smiled as he walked closer. Sunshine, he said casually. You really thought you could disappear? The air turned cold. Mike stepped slightly in front of her. But Sunshine gently pulled him back. No, she said softly. Stay behind me. The man's eyes shifted to Mike. So this is him, he said with a smirk. The reason you destroyed everything. Sunshine's voice dropped. Say one more word, and you won't finish your sentence. He laughed. You're still the same. No, she said. This time, her voice was different. Stronger. Clearer. I'm not. For the first time. Sunshine wasn't protecting power. She wasn't protecting an empire. She was protecting him. And this time, she would fight differently. Smarter. Cleaner. But still, just as dangerous. The man's smile was slow. Mocking. Like he already knew how this would end. Still protecting people, he said, glancing at Mike. That's new. Sunshine didn't blink. Leave, she said calmly. Or what, he challenged. For a moment, the old Sunshine flickered in her eyes. The one who would destroy without thinking. But then, it faded. Not gone. Just controlled. Mike watched her carefully. He could feel it. She was holding herself back. For him. The man took another step closer. You really shut everything down for this, he said, pointing at Mike. For a normal life? Sunshine's voice stayed steady. Yes. The answer surprised even Mike. No hesitation. No pride. Just truth. The man laughed louder this time. You think it's over? You think people will just forget who you are? Sunshine tilted her head slightly. No, she said. I don't expect them to forget. A pause. I expect them to understand. Before the man could react, Sunshine moved. Fast. But not violent. She stepped forward, closing the distance, her voice dropping low so only he could hear. If you came here to test me, you already failed. His smile faded just a little. You're not in control anymore, he said. She leaned closer. I don't need control, she whispered. I need peace. For the first time. There was hesitation in his eyes. Because something was different. This wasn't the same Sunshine. This one didn't look angry. She looked certain. Then she stepped back and spoke louder. So here's what's going to happen. Her voice was clear, sharp, commanding. You're going to leave this city. You're going to forget my name. And you're going to tell anyone who asks. A small pause. That I'm done. The man scoffed. And if I don't? Sunshine smiled. A soft smile. But it didn't feel safe. Then I won't destroy you. That confused him. What? I'll expose you. Silence. Real silence. Mike frowned slightly. He didn't understand at first. But then Sunshine continued. Every account. Every deal. Every secret you thought was hidden. Her eyes locked onto his. I built that world. I know where everything is buried. Now the man's face changed completely. Because this was not the old threat. This was worse. Clean. Legal. Final. You wouldn't, he said quietly. Sunshine didn't raise her voice. I already left that life. A step closer. But I didn't forget it. The air shifted. Power changed. For the first time. He wasn't looking at a ruler of the underworld. He was looking at someone who could destroy him without stepping back into it. Minutes passed. Heavy. Tense. Then, he stepped back. One step. Then another. You've changed, he muttered. Sunshine didn't reply. He turned and walked back to his car. But before he entered, he paused. This isn't over, he said. Sunshine finally spoke again. Yes, she said calmly. It is. The car drove away. And just like that, the danger ended. Not with blood. Not with fear. But with a choice. Mike let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. You scared me, he admitted. Sunshine looked at him. Why? I thought you were going to go back to that life. She shook her head slowly. I almost did. Silence. Then she added softly. But I didn't. Mike stepped closer. Because of me? She hesitated. For the first time in a long time. Sunshine didn't have a quick answer. Partly, she said. Then she looked away. I just got tired. Tired of what? She took a breath. Fighting everything. A small pause. And losing the only thing that ever felt real. Mike's heart softened. Sunshine. She cut him off quietly. Don't make it emotional. But her voice was already emotional. He smiled gently. You came for me, he said. That's already emotional. She rolled her eyes. But this time, she didn't deny it. Days passed. No more cars. No more shadows. No more threats. Peace stayed. And slowly, Sunshine began to trust it. One evening, they sat on the rooftop of their new office. The city lights were calm. Soft. Beautiful. Not like before. Mike looked at her. You did it. She raised a brow. Did what? You changed your life. She shook her head. I didn't change. A pause. I just chose differently. He nodded slowly. That's even harder. Silence sat between them. But it wasn't empty. It was warm. Then Mike spoke again. Do you ever regret it? She looked at him. Leaving everything? He nodded. Sunshine thought for a moment. Then said quietly. No. A small pause. Then she added. I would only regret not coming that day. Mike smiled. And this time. Sunshine didn't look away. For the first time in her life. She wasn't building power. She wasn't building fear. She was building something else. Something slower. Something softer. Something real. And maybe, just maybe, this was the life she was always meant to have. The next night felt different. Calm, but heavy. Like something important was about to happen. Sunshine stood alone in her office. The lights were off. Only the city glow came through the window. She held her phone in her hand, but she wasn't using it. She was thinking. About everything. Her past. Her mother's painful death. Her father. Her empire. Anne. Mike. A soft knock came at the door. She didn't turn. Come in. Mike walked in quietly. He stopped when he saw her standing in the dark. You do this a lot, he said gently. Stand alone and think. She gave a small reply. It helps. He stepped closer. Or, it keeps you away from people. She didn't answer. Because he wasn't wrong. Mike moved beside her, standing close but not touching. For a moment, they both just looked at the city. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "You already did." He smiled a little. "Why did you really come that day?" Sunshine's fingers tightened slightly around her phone. "You already know. I want to hear you say it." Silence. Long. Deep. Heavy. Sunshine wasn't afraid of enemies. She wasn't afraid of danger. But this felt harder. "I came because," she started, then stopped. She wasn't used to this. To saying what she felt. Mike didn't rush her. Didn't push. He just waited. Finally, she spoke again. "I came because I didn't want to lose you." Her voice was low. Honest. Real. Mike's chest tightened. But he didn't interrupt. She continued slowly. "You were the only person who saw me before everything." A pause. "The only one who talked to me like I was normal." Her eyes softened. "And the only one who never asked me to be anything else." Mike looked at her carefully. "And now?" he asked. She turned to face him. Fully. No walls. No mask. "Now," she said quietly, "you're the only person I don't want to live without." Silence. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was full. Mike let out a soft breath. Like he had been holding it for years. "You have no idea how long I've waited to hear that," he said. Sunshine looked down slightly. "I don't say things like this." "I know." He stepped closer. Slow. Careful. Like she might disappear if he moved too fast. "But I always knew," he added softly. She frowned a little. "You knew." He smiled. "You showed it, just not with words." For the first time. Sunshine felt shy. She looked away. "Don't start talking too much." He laughed quietly. "I miss this version of you." She looked back at him. "This version?" "Yeah," he said. "The one who feels." Her expression softened again. Then, she said something she had never said before. Not to anyone. "I love you, Mike." The words were quiet. But they carried everything. Mike didn't move for a second. Like he needed to be sure he heard it right. Then he smiled. Not the soft smile. Not the small one. But the real one. The one he used to have when they were kids. "I love you too, Sunshine," he said. And this time, she didn't look away. Slowly, he reached for her hand. She didn't pull back. Their fingers touched. Then held. For someone like Sunshine, that simple touch meant more than anything. She had fought the world. Built an empire. Destroyed enemies. Walked through danger without fear. But this was new. And somehow, it felt stronger than everything else. Days later, something unexpected happened. A visitor arrived. An older woman. Calm. Elegant. Familiar. Sunshine froze when she saw her. "You." The woman smiled gently. "You've grown." Mike looked between them. "Who is she?" Sunshine's voice was quiet. "My mother's sister." The woman stepped forward. "I've been looking for you." Sunshine's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why no?" The woman's expression turned serious. "Because it's time you knew the truth." Silence. "What truth?" Sunshine asked. The woman took a breath. "Your father didn't just leave." Sunshine's heart tightened. "What do you mean?" "He was forced out. Everything stopped." "That's not possible," Sunshine said. "I saw what he did." The woman shook her head slowly. "You saw what he wanted you to see." Mike stepped closer to Sunshine. He could feel the shift. The tension. The confusion. The woman continued. "There are things about your family, about your mother, that you don't know." Sunshine's voice dropped. "Then start talking." Because for the first time, the past she thought she understood was beginning to change. And this time, she wasn't facing it alone. The office felt smaller. Like the walls were closing in. Sunshine stood still, her eyes locked on the woman in front of her. "My father was forced out," she repeated slowly. Her voice was calm. But inside, everything was shaking. The woman nodded gently. "Yes." Sunshine let out a short, dry laugh. "No, that's not true." Her eyes hardened. "I saw him leave. I saw him take everything. I saw what he did to my mother." The woman stepped closer. "And what if I told you that's exactly what he wanted you to believe?" Silence. Heavy. Confusing. Mike moved closer to Sunshine, just enough for her to feel him beside her. Grounded. Steady. What are you saying? Sunshine asked. The woman took a slow breath. Your mother's family was powerful. Sunshine frowned. I know that. No, the woman said softly. Not just rich. A pause. Powerful in ways you never understood. Sunshine's chest tightened. What does that mean? It means, the woman continued, your mother was not just someone with money. She had influence, control, connections that reached into places people don't talk about. Mike's expression changed slightly. He was starting to understand. And your father? Sunshine asked quietly. The woman's face softened. He loved her. That answer came fast. Sure. Sunshine blinked. That didn't match the story in her head. But loving her, the woman continued, put him in danger. Sunshine's voice dropped. Explain. There were people, the woman said, who wanted what your mother had. Her wealth. Her connections. Her power. They couldn't control her, so they decided to destroy her life instead. Sunshine's heart began to beat faster. They threatened your father, the woman said softly. Told him to leave. To take everything and disappear. Sunshine shook her head slowly. No, he wouldn't. He did it to protect you, the woman said. The words hit hard. Too hard. He knew if he stayed, you and your mother would become targets. So he made a choice. To become the villain, so you could stay safe. Silence filled the room. Deep. Crushing. Sunshine's hands slowly clenched. No. But this time, her voice wasn't strong. He hurt her, Sunshine said, almost like she was trying to convince herself. He broke her. The woman's eyes filled with quiet sadness. Yes. A pause. And that was the only way to make it believable. Tears filled Sunshine's eyes instantly. But they didn't fall. All her life, she believed one thing. That her father was cruel. That love was weak. That power was the only protection. And now, that truth was breaking. I built everything, she whispered. Because I didn't want to end up like my mother. Mike gently reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. The woman stepped closer. Your mother didn't become weak because she loved. She became broken because she was betrayed by the world around her. Sunshine's breathing grew uneven. And your father, the woman added, never stopped watching from a distance. That made Sunshine look up. What? He's alive. The words dropped like thunder. Sunshine froze. Her mind went blank. No. He is, the woman said gently. And he's been waiting for the day you were strong enough to hear the truth. For the first time in years. Sunshine broke. Her knees weakened slightly. Mike quickly held her. This doesn't make sense, she whispered. Mike's voice was soft. It doesn't have to make sense right now. She shook her head, tears finally falling. I hated him. Mike held her closer. I know. I became this person because of him. He didn't interrupt. He just stayed. And now you're telling me, her voice cracked. He did it to protect me? The woman nodded quietly. Sunshine closed her eyes. Tears falling freely now. For someone who never cried. This was everything breaking at once. Minutes passed. No one rushed her. No one spoke. Then slowly, Sunshine opened her eyes. She looked different. Not weak. Not broken. But softer. Clearer. Where is he? She asked. The woman gave a small smile. I'll take you to him. Sunshine nodded slowly. Then she turned to Mike. For a moment, she just looked at him. You're staying, she said. It wasn't a question. Mike smiled gently. Always. And for the first time, Sunshine believed that word. Always. Because now, she wasn't just facing her past. She was healing it. And she wasn't alone anymore. The journey was quiet. Too quiet. Sunshine sat in the back seat, her hands resting on her lap. Still, but not calm. Her mind was loud. Memories clashing. Her father's face. Her mother's tears. The day everything broke. Beside her, Mike didn't say much. He didn't need to. His presence alone was enough. Every now and then, her fingers would tighten slightly. And each time, Mike would gently hold her hand. Steady, warm, real. After hours of driving, the car finally slowed. They stopped in front of a quiet house. Simple, old, peaceful. Sunshine stared at it. "This is where he lives?" she asked softly. Her aunt nodded. "He chose a quiet life." Sunshine let out a slow breath. A quiet life. The words felt strange on her tongue. Mike stepped out first and opened her door. She didn't move immediately. For someone who faced danger without fear, this moment felt heavier than anything she had ever done. "What if," she started, then stopped. Mike leaned slightly closer. "What if what?" Her voice dropped. "What if he's not who I think he is anymore?" Mike's answer was simple. "Then you meet who he is now." She looked at him, and slowly, she nodded. They walked toward the door. Each step felt louder, heavier, closer. Sunshine raised her hand to knock, but paused. For a second, she was no longer the queen, no longer strong, just a daughter. Afraid, Mike gently touched her hand. "You don't have to rush," he said softly. She shook her head. "I've already waited too long." And then, she knocked. A few seconds passed. Then the door opened. An older man stood there. Simple clothes, calm eyes, tired, but kind. Sunshine froze. He looked at her, really looked at her. And in that moment, time stopped. "Sunshine," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Her breath caught. She had imagined this moment many times. Anger, questions, cold words. But now, standing in front of him, all of that disappeared. Because his eyes were not cold, not cruel. They were full of something she didn't expect. Love. Tears filled her eyes instantly. "You're alive," she whispered. He gave a small, emotional smile. "I've always been." Silence. Deep. Heavy. Then suddenly, Sunshine stepped forward and hugged him, tightly, like a child who had been lost for too long. The man froze for a second, then slowly wrapped his arms around her. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Sunshine shook her head against his chest. "I hated you." "I know," he said gently. "I built my life thinking you destroyed everything." His voice broke slightly. "I did, in your eyes." She pulled back slightly, tears running down her face. He took them inside. "Why didn't you come back?" she asked. His expression softened. "Because if I did, they would have found you." Her heart tightened again. "I watched you grow from afar," he continued. "I saw how strong you became." A small pause. "And how alone you were." Sunshine's tears didn't stop. For the first time, she understood. Not just the pain, but the love behind it. And slowly, the anger she carried for years started to fade. Mike stood a few steps away, watching quietly, respecting the moment. But Sunshine turned and looked at him. Her eyes said everything. "Thank you. For staying. For not leaving. For bringing me here." He gave a small nod. Later that evening, they sat together outside. The sky was calm. The air was soft. Sunshine leaned back in her chair, looking up. "I feel different," she said. Mike smiled slightly. "Better or worse?" She thought for a moment. "Lighter." He nodded. "That's what happens when you stop carrying everything alone." She turned to look at him. "You didn't leave," she said. "I told you I wouldn't." A small silence. Then, Mike stood up. Sunshine watched him, confused. "What are you doing?" He took a step closer, then another, until he stood right in front of her. His expression changed. Serious. Soft. Certain. "Sunshine," he said. Her heart skipped slightly. "I've loved you since we were kids." She blinked, even though she already knew. Hearing it like this felt different. "I've seen every version of you," he continued. "The happy one, the broken one, the strong one, and the one standing here now." He took a slow breath. "And I don't want a life without any of them." Sunshine's chest tightened. Then, he slowly went down on one knee. Her eyes widened. "Mike." He looked up at her. "Come with me," he said softly. A small smile. But this time, Not because you're afraid to lose me. A pause. But because you choose me. He brought out a small ring. Simple. Beautiful. Stay with me, he added. Build a life with me. Not a perfect one, but a real one. Tears filled Sunshine's eyes again. But this time, they weren't from pain. They were from something she never allowed herself to feel fully. Happiness. She stepped closer. Her voice soft. Clear. Certain. I'm not good at soft things, she said. Mike smiled. I know. But, she continued. I want this. A small pause. I want you. And then, she nodded. Yes. Mike let out a breath and smiled widely. He stood up, sliding the ring onto her finger. And for the first time, Sunshine didn't feel like she was losing control. She felt like she was finally home. And home with peace is everything she has ever wanted. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share with friends and loved ones, and subscribe for more amazing stories to come.